Good evening. Good evening. Thank you all for coming. We'll give some folks some grace on arrival time and not start exactly at 6 p.m. Sorry. So we'll probably start about 6:05. If you have a child in need of childcare, Miss Quintisha is there at the back and she'll be happy to take your kids. She's going to take them into the school library. And if you have any little ones that are hungry, please go ahead and let's make sure our little people get some food early. Adult folks, unless you're absolutely ravenously starving, we're going to ask you to wait to eat until we break out into work groups. While you are waiting, we will have some interactive parts of the evening where you can participate with your cell phone. I just want to invite you all to test your ability to participate. If you pull out your cell phone and text to the phone number 37607, the phone number you will text to is 37607, and the message that you will send is my first and last name, Itoko Garcia, with the numbers 464 after it. And you'll get a text message back that confirms you are in, and then you can select A and B and hit send. And I hope all of you will hit A. So just while we wait a few more minutes to get started, why don't you test your ability to participate? There we go. Looks like it's working. Don't worry if your phone's dead. You'll have lots of other ways to participate too. How you doing? Good to see you. Someone said no. So you're going to erase that number. And you're going to put 37607. There you go. And then you'll write Itoko Garcia 464 in the message. Yeah. Oh no, honey, each. It's okay. Thank you for your help. Yep, so 37607. Yep, and then in the message, my first and last name. Make it send, and then it'll run me back and tell you that you're in. right, thank you everybody for testing our technological interaction for the evening. I hope that you could participate. Just in the interest of time, I will get started. We have all of our committee members here, and it's really great to see the crowd and all the faces. Thank you all for making some time and being patient with our start time. If you haven't already gotten yourself some food, we'll have another opportunity a little bit later in the program for everyone to eat. Once again, if you have young children that you wish to have as part of offered child care. Ms. Quintisha is doing child care in the library. Please feel free to bring your kids down there. Also really excited, we have two community members from SOAR, a student group at Tam High, Students Organizing Against Racism. Thank you for being here tonight, Ruby, Rose, and Ian. And for any students from Bayside MLK or Willow Creek that are here tonight, when we have a breakout session, Ian and Ruby Rose will be working with the kids this evening. So want to welcome, glad you're here. Just to remind us that this is a first step. We don't have to always see the whole staircase. Sometimes we just have to take the first step in a journey, and I'm glad all of you are here to take this monumental, historic first step. Some folks have been concerned about the process or about what's happening or not happening. And I want to assure you that the whole point of tonight and tomorrow and every other unification meeting and activity that we have is to build the process together. If you've been waiting to see more action from us, it's because we've been really carefully trying to construct a process that everyone can participate in, that everyone can have input in. There's nothing that we're going to present tonight that has been decided or is a done deal. These are all just conversation starters and talking points, and we desperately need all of your input in order to create a world-class unified school for the 94965. And so thank you, everyone. Please give yourselves a big round of applause for being here in this energy and in this spirit tonight. As I said, we have food. Kids, please help yourselves. If you haven't already, adults will have an opportunity to eat a little bit later. Childcare in the library. Please note we're a little bit behind on the agenda. We'll see what kind of time we can make up. But we did formally start at 6:30, so my goal is to get you out of here by 8:30, not 8 o'clock. We'll spend a little bit of time on a community building activity. We'll spend a little bit of time getting a presentation from all of these amazing folks from the Unification Committee, Sausalito Marin City School Board, and the Unification Consolidation Committee from the Willow Creek Board here that have been working so hard to plan this event and the idea, that journey that we're going to undergo together over the next few months. And then we'll spend some time for you all to vision a dream school. We'll then break up into work groups. We have several work group topics that we want to invite folks to work on and participate in. And then you'll have some time to report out, and we'll close our meeting and get some next steps and some actions. So, wanted to introduce ourselves. Joint committee, do you want to stand up? And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Itoko Garcia. I'm the superintendent here in the Sausalito Marin City School District.
Johanna Vandermaan, I sit on the Willow Creek Board. I'm a retired public school superintendent.
Caroline Van Alst, I'm on the Sausalito Marin City School District Board. I'm a resident of Sausalito for more than 20 years. And I have two daughters who went through Willow Creek K through 8 and are now together in TAM.
Deborah Turner. I'm a trustee on the Sausalito Marin City School Board. Live in Marin City and have been tutoring with a number of people here for years. And I am really, I'm going to just say a little bit about this. For me, the experience of being on this Unification Task Force, it's such a historic moment for me to be working with Willow Creek board members and my fellow trustee here, and for all of us to really be united, moving towards a unification that will benefit all our kids, all the kids in the 949, well, almost the 94965 zip code. That's a little complicated because it includes Stinson Beach? No, Muir Beach, yeah. Anyway, so, but I'm so glad we're here, and I really do believe that together we can really make history for our kids.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alina Monder. I'm on the Willow Creek School Board. I have two children in kindergarten, fourth grade at Willow Creek. I am a lifelong resident of Marin City, and I am grateful to be on this committee and looking forward to our future together.
Great. Hello, I'm Jim Henry. I want to echo the comments, especially from our superintendent and Deborah, about how excited we are to have a chance to participate in this committee, and even more so how grateful and excited we are that all of you showed up tonight to help us in this process. And it really is a process that requires everybody's input to get the best solution that we can create. I'm a CPA and also a member of the Willow Creek Board, and two grandchildren who attend that school.
Thank you all, and I do want you to know that the town hall meeting tonight and tomorrow, and the one that we're offering Saturday after next, in case y'all haven't seen the flyer, is a result of this group of people meeting weekly for the past 8 weeks. So there's been a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of thinking put into just setting up a process that's participatory and that's collaborative and that we hope all of you will lean into. So can you give these folks a round of applause too? Just a lot of time. So, what happened to my cell phone back there? One of the things I want to invite you to do tonight, thank you, is actually get up and talk to some folks that maybe you don't normally talk to. Whole point of unification, the whole point of collaboration is stretching ourselves a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some music. And I'm going to invite you to stand up and dance or prance or walk or really do whatever the Spirit moves you to do. And when the music stops, whoever's in front of you, unless you talk to them all the time, then find somebody new. Please share one hope you have for tonight and one question that you have. But let's get our body moving. Let's get our energy moving. Let's break down some of the barriers in our community. And we'll do 2 rounds of this. So when the music starts again, thank your partner and go ahead and start dancing again. Here's the music. Here's the music. Really move around, move yourself from where you were sitting, move yourself from where you were standing. All right, whoever you're in front of, one hope for tonight, one question that you have, choose who's partner A, choose who's partner B, and go. If you haven't already changed partners who's talking, go ahead and change partners who are talking. Once again, one hope, one question. Go ahead and thank your partner. Go ahead and thank your partner. Share your last thought. Let's move around. Let's move around. Let's dance around. Let's move around. Let's dance around. Let's mix it up. Let's find new people. People we never seen. People we never talked to. New energy. All right, did you move? Did you move yet? Switch partners already. Go ahead and switch partners. One hope, one question.
Especially in middle school. Other schools, other kids. Right. The only difference is here, not only were they in middle school, but the school also didn't have its shit together to support them getting through that challenging time. It was just mayhem always. Things are coming along, and we're making a lot of progress here. Yeah, this will be interesting. The outcome of this work will be very interesting. I was interested when I saw that the group on the committee. The only people that purely represent Bayside are Deborah and Ito. Is that the only committee? Or are there others? Trina! Oh. No, that's the combined unification committee. Who decided that? Was that a volunteer? Sign up? I think
ahead and thank your partners. And when I start the music this time, dance your way back to your seats. Dance your way back to your seats. Thank your partner. Dance your way back to your seats. Walk your way back to your seats. Stroll your way back to your seats. Shimmy your way back to your seats. Come on back. Come on, sit down. Come on back. Go ahead, thank your partners, and come on back and sit down. Come on back and sit down. Thank your partners, come on back and sit down. When the music stops, you should be in your seat. When the music stops, you should be in your seat. Come on back and sit down. Come on back and sit down. I love people talking. I'm going to give you a lot more opportunities to talk tonight, I promise. Come on back and sit down. When I say listen, you say up. Listen. Listen. Invite everybody to come back and sit down. I promise I'll let you talk a lot more tonight. Come on back and sit down real quick. All right, we did this already, so we'll save a little time. Thank you. So we wanted to kind of jointly talk about and reemphasize the idea that nothing is set in stone. We are open to your input. We are open to collaboration and open to change. But basically, working jointly, our school district, the Sausalito Marin City School District, and the Willow Creek Academy Board intend to improve the educational and social outcomes of all current and future students enrolled in our public schools. Both SMCSD and WCA passed resolutions to explore a unified school solution prior to the judgment in the Attorney General's desegregation complaint. And we are committed to working together in this spirit. I want to really emphasize that we both voluntarily decided to start walking on this path together before any judgment came down. I think that's very important. And I want to invite all of you to hold that at the center and at the heart of any work and any conversation that you have tonight. We are also committed to engaging all of you, all of our stakeholders, in a process that builds consensus around the best pathway for Willow Creek Academy and Bayside MLK to come together and create a unified school solution. We are actively seeking input from and participation of parents, guardians, staff, community members, folks that are already involved at both of our schools, and most importantly, our students. I'm so glad I have a couple students here tonight. I'm so glad that the folks from SOAR, from Tam High, came tonight. We really hope that students become the center and lead the way forward in this pathway. Because as much as we as parents are concerned about the educational outcomes of our kids, and we all know kids don't always make the best decisions at all times, we are talking about building a school that matters to our kids. And so it's really important that we understand what they want and what they need. And it's really important that their voice is centered in this conversation and leads this work. Our kids are actually really well equipped to do this work and have this conversation. Our kids at both schools already play together on a lot of teams and are together in a lot of different spaces in our community. And a lot of our community partners, our kids are together. They work together with no problem. This is energy we must build on. This process will generate recommendations to the Board of Trustees of the Sausalito Mineral City School District and of Willow Creek Academy. And having considered the advantages, disadvantages, issues, concerns, and feasibility of a unified school solution, we are confident that the answer and the pathway lies here in our community and here with our kids of how we can get this done. So what might it mean? And I want to emphasize again, nothing's been decided. This is just from very preliminary feedback. We need you to help us decide and realize this vision. We have to do it together. Otherwise, it's not unification. But what we've heard so far from our community survey, and I'll give you some more details on it, and what we've heard so far from conversations is that folks want world-class programs that stimulate really deep learning and ignite passion in kids. That something like a science, technology, art, and research, and understand that the research really is about project-based learning. That a science, technology, arts, and research, a star magnet school might be something that could produce the kind of results and experience that our kids and families are looking for. That a school that's dual language, Spanish, pre-K through 8th grade, would give all of our kids a chance at college access, at success at Tam High or wherever they decide to go, that has career pathways, college readiness programs, that we really learn from and value all the perspectives that are available in this community. Just take a look around this room right now. All of you, I want to invite you to just take one more look. There's a lot of different people here. There's a lot of different perspectives. In multiple perspectives, there is strength. In multiple perspectives, there is value. In multiple languages, there is value. Value that you can't find in almost any other community. Value that you can't find in almost any other country, any other corner of this country. You're hard pressed to find the kind of diverse learning and experience that is available to us right here in the Sausalito Marin City School District. I owe my life to it. A place that empowers families to work alongside staff and help kids. A place to feel safe in who we are, what we believe, and who we become. An integrated, diverse school that is academically and socially desirable for all of us in the 94965, except for Muir Beach. Because they go to Stinson Bolinas schools. That's cool. But, you know, we build this kind of school, maybe people from Muir Beach will come here too. And that improves on the current results at BMLK and Willow Creek are producing. A school that produces results on par with Mill Valley, Ross Valley, and Miller Creek. We are in a county of high-performing schools. Mill Valley, Ross Valley, and Miller Creek school districts are the highest performing of a high-performing county. We believe we should produce a school that produces results that is comparable to those systems. So how do we do it? Who does it? What do we do? Why? We have to do it together. Kids, staff, parents, administrators, board members, and our already engaged community partners. Everybody that's in this room and some folks who aren't, we want to invite you to be a part of this process and remain a part of this process. We're going to have work groups. We're going to form them tonight. We're going to have more meetings. We're going to ask you to produce reports. We are your Unification Task Force here. We will continue to meet a lot, to debrief, to plan, to make sure that the train stays on the track and hopefully gets to the station in time. As I'll share with you in a little while, we have a scope and sequence for this whole affair. We're actually not behind. We're actually still on time to deliver a report to both boards in January. Some of the feedback we've heard is people really are anxious because they don't know what's happening, and we understand that. We are committed to delivering a report in January so that folks can make decisions based on that report and based on that recommendation. We get it. It's your kids, it's your family, it's your future. We understand. We are committed to delivering something in a timely fashion that still has a lot of your feedback and input, all of your feedback and input. And we want to collaboratively develop that plan and engage all of you and build consensus, because that's how we're most likely to be successful. Just to triple down, we haven't decided anything yet. We need your help. So, many of you probably picked up a list of frequently asked questions. Just so you know, the frequently asked questions were generated from our desegregation town hall. There was a lot of questions that were focused on unification, and we pulled them out. Never fear. We have a separate list of desegregation frequently asked questions. We'll put it out at our next town hall meeting coming in November. There are a few items on there that we worked really hard to have an answer for tonight that we don't quite have yet. And so we ask for your grace and patience. They're noted there. We need a legal consensus opinion before we go public with some of these questions. We understand some of you may still have these questions. We're working really hard to build consensus around those answers. But we also answered a lot of questions. You can also find information on the Sausalito Marin City School District website. There's a unification page right on the landing page. If you click on it, you'll find a lot of the documents there in digital form from tonight, including this FAQ document. You will also find, there's one big question at the end, but it would have made the FAQ document about 6 pages long. Some people have a lot of questions about consolidation with the Mill Valley School District. There was a report commissioned by the Marin County Office of Education 2 years ago. There's a link to that report on our website. So if you have a lot of questions about Mill Valley consolidation, please go to the website, explore to your heart's content. The answer is they're commissioning a second study to follow up on some of the unanswered questions. It'll start this year, and I'll leave it at that. So we hope the FAQ answers a lot of the questions that you might have, but if there aren't any, we'll give you a chance to give us some more feedback a little bit later in the program. Or right now. So I want you to take a minute, review the FAQ, think about the questions that you brought in, that you shared with a couple people during musical shares. And if you feel like you don't see an answer, go ahead and post it up, and we'll do our best to answer it. I'll give you a couple minutes to answer. Is this a me question or is it a us question? I will say that my greatest fears have nothing to do with unification. Yeah. It's totally anonymous, by the way. The Unification Committee was formed by both boards. So both boards passed a resolution to form the committees, and then board members volunteered to be on those committees. That one's a pretty easy answer. We're going to have a town hall, same one tomorrow at Willow Creek. I hope that's what you'll hear. Yes, we absolutely will build in dedicated times for kids to speak. It's really important that students lead this. I would just suggest that this Unification Task Force is a real commitment from both schools to seriously do this work. Like I said, these people have been taking literally several hours per week. Plus, I don't know how many emails and different comments on documents and things back and forth. I really believe it's a serious commitment. We actually haven't really identified a whole bunch of non-negotiables. That's why we're here building the process with you all. We're accountable to each other. We're accountable to the kids. That's who we're accountable to. Beyond anything. The union question is one that we're waiting for council to respond on. So we'll have an answer for that for you very soon. As you'll see a little bit later in the program, but I'll just reiterate now, I'm committed to working with Willow Creek Board and leadership through multiple different pathways to figure out how Willow Creek can be sustained while we figure this out together. Whether it's philanthropy or some other methods available. Again, we're kind of waiting for a legal review on that process, but there's several different pathways that we can make sure that the school doesn't just fall apart next year. No one wants that. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that for your kids. That's not what we want to see. We got to chart a pathway together to figure it out. The monitor will go before the Board of Trustees soon. We had to cancel our regularly scheduled board meeting due to this public safety power shutoff. We didn't figure it'd be a good idea to have it in the dark. It turns out the cancellation of a regularly scheduled board meeting is not such a simple thing to reschedule. So we're just going to ask for your grace and patience. Again, we're waiting for a little recommendation from legal counsel of how to do that so we don't violate the Brown Act and we have a proper public regularly scheduled board meeting. Yes, I can. We don't have any BMLK parents on our school board, and so we would need a BMLK parent on our school board to be on the task force because the task force is 100% comprised of board members. But we sure hope many of our BMLK parents will participate in the process and be on the task and be on the work groups so that the voice is equally distributed. Got it. This is your window of opportunity closing. And we will work to answer all of these questions in our updated FAQ. Thank you. So where did we get the information that we're showing tonight? We got 192 total responses at the survey we put out at Back to School Night. 163 from Willow Creek, 29 from Bayside Martin Luther King. I was working diligently to make sure that the paper surveys I could show you tonight, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to show them until tomorrow. Sorry, I have all the data in there, but I just couldn't quite represent it in time for this meeting. So I just do want to point out that what I'm showing you here is a response that is pretty Willow Creek heavy. But I'm happy to tell you there's actually not a whole lot of difference in what folks want to see at this unified school. So you can see people said school climate and culture, physical facilities would be important. Community partnerships, school leadership, student activities and extracurriculars, African American student achievement, ELL student achievement, community partnerships. Most people get their info from email, newsletters, and social media. The long-awaited Sausalito, Marin City, and Bayside MLK social media presence has been launched. Start looking for us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Mostly parents, some community members, a few students, some staff were the respondents. Most folks have between 1 and 10 years, but we have some folks that have been here and involved with our schools for decades. A lot of women answered the survey, just an interesting thing to note. Gentlemen, probably need to do a little better at that. You can see the roots of a star magnet school from some of these responses. I can say that the BMLK responses that I tallied are also very similar. That's why the emphasis particularly on science, technology, and arts. That continues to be a theme in both communities. What kind of arts if we focus on arts? People want to see music, people want to see visual arts, people want to see digital arts, and then there's a bunch of people that just want to see all the arts. So, how do we do this? How long is it going to take? You see our town hall meeting tonight? We hope that all of you here will participate in work groups that meet over basically the next 8 weeks, but meet really intensely over the next month. And one of the things that we're going to ask you to do tonight is sign up for a work group and make a calendar so that you know when you're meeting and we know when you're meeting. And if you need help meeting, we can help you. We hope by the November board meeting to give some updates and have a new survey item created. A survey just for kids, a survey just for staff, and a survey just for parents, and a separate survey just for community members. Because one of the things that we realized on our last survey is we kind of threw everything in the hopper and it's a little hard to disaggregate. So we want to know from each distinct group what's important. And again, we want our kids really to lead the narrative. We hope that by right before the Thanksgiving break, when we have our next Unification town hall, at least circle the week. Try to be in town if you can. Don't take that Thanksgiving vacation early. We need your kids at school. That we have an initial draft report from all your work groups. Just a draft, doesn't have to be final. What are you thinking? What have you been doing? What have you produced? Where are you at? That we spend that first week after the Thanksgiving break in December really synthesizing the information we have. The new survey data, feedback from the work group draft report. We hope to have board workshops that second week there in December. All of our board members in the house, board workshops. Willow Creek and SMCSD board workshop. And that we then provide feedback to all of you on what we think we've heard. And let you give us some more feedback. Are we getting it right? Are we missing something? Does something need to be added? We'll have one final Unification town hall where we present a draft of the final report that will be submitted to both boards. And again, we will ask for your feedback on that final report. If you can't tell, I believe in member checking a lot. Are we getting it right with you? Are we hearing your voice? We need to know. And that final report will be presented on January the 9th here at the Sausalito Marin City Regular Board of Trustees meetings. When's the Willow Creek Board meeting? It's around that time too. Same week, next week. We'll get that date in there for you. We also, some of you wondered, like, well, how does this fit with the desegregation plan? And, maybe that was part of the who we're accountable to question. We have to have a draft of our comprehensive education plan for the Attorney General by February the 6th. And that will be presented at the regular board meeting in the second week of February. It's on Valentine's Day. Yeah, I don't try not to make any plans. I don't know. That will be presented at the Sausalito board on that date. But more importantly, both of these processes are going to feed our LCAP adoption. The school district has to adopt a new 3-year LCAP. What programs, what policies, how are we going to fund it? And we really hope and we intend for this unification process and the desegregation process to inform that LCAP plan. You'll also have opportunity to give feedback on that. We really believe that this unification will help us refine a process, that we can develop common goals, values, and beliefs, and that we have that world-class school. And remember, it's just an idea. It might change over time, but I'm still rolling with that K-8 dual language star magnet. So, one of the things that you will experience with me is that I believe in stress resilience a lot. And there's a little bit of tension in the room. So one of the things that neuroscience tells us is the main tool that we have for controlling our emotions is our breathing. It's taking oxygen into our body. So I want to invite all of you to take a big deep breath, but not just any kind of breath. Inhale for a count of 8. Exhale for a count of 4. Please begin and breathe with me. Anytime anything feels hard tonight, anytime you feel some stress building up, I just want to invite you to breathe. We can get through this together. We will get through this together. Especially if we regulate our emotions. Check in with your body and see how you feel after taking that breath. So, we want you to spend the next few minutes imagining what a dream school would be like. If you're students, what would you learn? If you're parents, what would your kids learn? What would it look like? If you're sitting in the seats here and you have a pen and paper, you can do it with a partner next to you, or you can join the good folks that are sitting at the round tables. But we want to invite you to draw, sketch, or write in words what your dream school would look like. And when you're done, we'd like you to leave your dream school papers. And you can do it on the back of those big butcher papers that are on the table too, if you like. We want you to leave that for us. We want to see. We want to feel the vision. So I'll give you, let's see, in the interest of time, I'll give you 5 minutes to sketch or draw or write about your dream school.
So you can set the alarm. Jeff's going to go.
What's up with you, Mark? You all right?
Keeping busy. How about you?
Yep. You know me. Same thing, always busy. Never slows down.
Oh yeah.
For students of color and teachers of all backgrounds.
You know, we want to top tier education.
Is the video recording available online?
Yeah. It'll be posted on our website.
Oh, okay. Is that just the Sausalito Emergency School District?
SMCSC.org.
Okay.
It's likely going to be either on the front page or around the board meeting.
All right. Thank you. Are all the board meetings there?
Yes.
If you are working on a small piece of paper, smaller than the size of a chart paper, please give your dream school idea to one of our principals, either Mr. Fanan or Miss Cox. They will take your smaller pieces of paper. Thank you for all the people who are writing on the back of the chart paper. We will keep those because you're going to produce things on both sides. Go ahead and finish up your final thoughts or ideas for your dream school. Again, if you're working on a small piece of paper, please turn it into Mr. Fanan or Miss Cox. If you're working on one of those large pieces of paper, we will collect those at the end of the evening. When I say I go, you say I may. I go. When I say I go, you say I may. I go. If you can close your conversation around Dream School, share your final ideas, get that sketch down. I promise I'm going to turn you loose to talk again some more in just a minute. But we really need to get some work groups formed tonight, and I want to try to keep us as on time as I possibly can, given our late start. So if I could just have everybody close their dream school conversation. We're going to keep talking about our dream schools for the next few months, I promise.
Right, it may be have them find a path. Support testing their path.
Ask you to continue to work tonight. When I say listen, you say listen. Almost. When I say listen, you say up. If you're still talking, listen. Thank you. So I just, before we turn you loose, you're going to work together really for the rest of the night. But it's really important to me that we do so in what feels like a really positive energy. I'm so glad to see all of you talking and working and building together, because that's what this is about. But I want to let you know, too, that the work of our committee, of which I am a member, just to clarify, I'm not just up here talking. I go to all the meetings, too. Our committee is really focused on a spirit of consensus building, collaboration, and community engagement. And we invite you to work together for the rest of the night in that spirit of consensus building and collaboration and community engagement and civil discourse and equity of voice. We might not always agree on all things, and that's okay. But it's how we work through those things that matter. And so as part of this work, when all of you decide to be on one of our work groups, we are going to ask you to attend a 3-hour Courageous Conversation Capacity Building Seminar as part of being on the work group. There will also be a lot of other voluntary capacity building opportunities throughout, but if you're going to be on a work group, we are going to ask you to attend this 3-hour seminar. Working with some other community groups to look at civil discourse, to look at healing conversations, a few other things. We'll give you a menu of things that you can participate in after this seminar. So, when I break you into work groups, which I'm just about to do, I want you to understand fully what you're committing to. Tonight, and tonight only, I'm asking you to do 2 things. Well, really 3. Brainstorm. Make a calendar of when that work group's going to meet over the next 6 to 8 weeks. How you're going to get this draft recommendation report to all of us. How many meetings you think it's going to take, how long, what days of the week, where you might meet. But just put out a calendar of dates and times. I'll be happy with that. And then report out to the group what that calendar is going to be and who's there. We're going to set you all up for your first meeting with the team charter document. It's important that we work together as a high-performing team, and it's important that we make some agreements about how we're going to work together as a team before we run merrily off down the road together. I am also going to ask you to choose some roles: a facilitator, a note taker, a timekeeper, and a reporter. These don't have to be the same people every meeting, but we need to have these roles every meeting. And so before you start working tonight, figure out who's going to play those roles tonight. We're going to need you. We're going to ask you to set some goals as a team next meeting. We're definitely going to ask you to make some recommendations based on these topics to us, the Unification Task Force. Just to clarify, we're going to take those recommendations. We're going to take the survey results. We're going to create a final report, and we're still not going to decide anything. We're going to submit the final report to our full respective boards, and our full respective boards will make decisions around what actions they're going to take. And we're going to ask you to create a final report from your work group. Don't worry, if you need a refresher, I'll be floating around to help people. But remember tonight, roles: facilitator, note taker, timekeeper, reporter, a calendar, and a report out of whatever you've brainstormed on each of your topics. So, work group topics. Yeah, if you're not willing to commit to a seminar, doesn't mean that we don't want your input. We'll get it in a bunch of different ways. We'll get it in surveys. You can still come to town halls like this, but we want folks that are really committed to a process to commit to that, to be on our work groups, just to be clear. Thank you, Jim. So we're looking to form a facilities work group. We're looking to form a curriculum work group. We're looking to form a transportation work group. We're looking to form a process work group. We're looking to form a staffing work group. I saw all those questions about jobs. You get to make some recommendations about what that looks like. Yeah, this process, this unification process, we want some folks working tightly, advising us back on if we're missing something, if we need to add something, if we should take something away. That's what we mean by process. We want a culture and climate, and we mean school culture and climate work group when we say that. We would like a philanthropy and fundraising work group. Some of you all are amazing at going out and getting the money that is available in our community. We want to invite you to be a part of that. It's a huge part of what we need to do together. We would like you to be on the fiscal integrity and transparency work group. Some of y'all are like accountants and bankers and other things. We need your support. And lastly, thank you so much, SOAR, for helping facilitate our student work group. They'll be at the meeting tomorrow at Willow Creek too. So if Willow Creek parents are here that have kids, we want the kids at the meeting. Any of you that have kids, bring your kids. We can't forward our kids' voices if they're not here. Also, if there's a work group that we haven't thought of that you really, really think we should have, you can recommend it to us and we will add it. So, there is a big poster at each of these round tables with one of these titles. So if you wrote your dream school idea, can you turn the poster over so that the work group topic is surfaced? That's okay. That's all right. We can give you another piece of chart paper if you really need another piece of chart paper. Could I have somebody sitting at each table shout out or stand up and hold up that chart paper so we know which work group is at which table? Transportation. Staffing over there. Process, thank you, Paul. Culture and climate there in the back. Philanthropy and fundraising there in the back. Fiscal integrity and transparency. Facilities. Students. And curriculum. So what I want to invite you to do is please go to the table where the work group topic you are most interested in is written on the top of the large chart paper. Introduce yourselves to the people there. Explain who you are and what your role in the community is. Choose a facilitator, a timekeeper, a recorder, a reporter. Brainstorm some topics around that work group topic. And calendar your dates when your work group can meet. And be ready to report out. I will time check you in 30 minutes.
I think you guys can decide how you want to be and making sure that it's really understood and it's transparent. So families will hear talking about your finances.
I think it works both ways. TAM gives you a lot of independence. It gives you a lot of freedom to plan out your life and to really kind of like to give you the tools you need to set your own goals. Right? You know, and it gives you the freedom to do that. So it's kind of like it combines that whole liberal arts, that liberal arts concept with given that you have the motivation and the grit to do so. So it's kind of like you make your own luck, right? Like if you want to be successful at TAM, if you want to like do all the things that TAM offers, it's all for you, right? You can do that. It's just what motivation do you have, how much are you willing to do. A lot of the things that we're talking about is to get on the house, right? It also depends on
I'm not a photographic candidate.
She just mentioned glue. And I'm thinking, why don't we all put what's on the top of our mind?
I'm going to give everybody a 5-minute time check. A 5-minute time check. Start figuring out what it is that you want to report out. Okay, so I want to invite you to take the next 5 minutes, and synthesize what you're going to report out. Whoever you chose as the reporter, you can do it old-fashioned stand and deliver if you want, or you can just upload right here what you want to report out, what your work group name is, what your meeting date might be. One of the things that was gratefully pointed out to me by our Unification Task Force, and then by many of you throughout the process, is that we overlooked one small detail, which is many of you just worked very diligently to calendar some dates, and then we're going to have a meeting tomorrow where other people are going to work diligently to calendar some dates. So this is what we want to invite you to do. We will bring these dates, we will bring these charts with us, and we will offer. The idea is to build a work group from both communities, not have two different work groups, but bring everyone together. So we will bring these dates in as an offering for that work group for them to build upon and around. And whoever decides to be the facilitator tonight and tomorrow, maybe it's the same person, maybe it isn't, we will put you two in contact to hammer out the final calendar for the work group. Make sense? Okay, so take the next 5 minutes, synthesize what you want to say, decide if you want to stand and talk. I got an extra microphone if anybody wants to get on the mic. Or you can upload here via Poll Everywhere your report out from your work group. All right, we have reached the part of the program where you get to share out. I see some people have shared out digitally up there. I think we have some folks that would like to verbally share out. Verbally share out. We have our first verbal share out from the curriculum work group. Curriculum for the children.
All right, so we're Curriculum for the Children. And so we are a group of people who got together because we're really committed to having not only metrics in terms of things being evidence-based in the curriculum, but also curriculum that looks at the strength-based, the strength that specifically black and brown children bring to the table into the classroom that is often ignored. We want to be able to look at curriculum that is integrated and holistic and that has a vision for having our students come out of the classroom with the ability to critically think, to be able to wade through whether it's fake news or whether it's bullying or when those things are actually happening. We're even just now we were even talking about the uses of technology and when technology should be introduced into the curriculum. And finally, what we came up with was that it's the vision in this group that will help to inspire the board to develop curriculum that really is truly integrative. We came up that we're going to be meeting once a week on Tuesdays at 5:30. Okay, and for us to actually make that happen, we're doing a buddy system because we're recognizing that not everybody can always meet once a week. So kind of taking into consideration our quality of life, which is part of, I think, education. Like, what is our quality of life? So if one of us can't make it every week, our buddy can come in, and our buddies communicate during the week through our email or through phone, and then the buddy comes in. So that way, maybe if someone can come every week, that's fine, or otherwise it might be every other week. But the buddy is a big part of that. Did I miss anything? Anybody want to say anything? That? Uh-oh, okay. All right. Didn't we say anything? And we use the talking stick to go, the talking pin.
Thank you, Curriculum for the Children work group. We got a few other stand and delivers.
All right, so we're the staffing work group, and I'm just going to list the things we listed. So I think obviously it's important to have a diverse staff, and that's faculty, administrators, support staff, so secretaries, whoever's cleaning the building, head of school, assistant principal, English teacher, there should be diversity. Counselors, so social emotional support. Obviously our teachers have a duty in the classroom. It'll be very difficult to ask them to also support all the kids socially and emotionally, so they can send them to a counselor, right, who's learned how to do that, who's trained. Professional development for admin and faculty. It should be mandatory. It should be often. There should be some professional development around equity, how to teach different learners with different backgrounds, right? Not all the kids are the same, so you have to learn how to teach to your class. You also have to develop within your specific subject matter. So if you teach English, you should know how to teach English and get better at it. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Opportunity to share between school staff within subject matter. So you have English teachers, they should meet, right? You have history teachers, they should meet. If we have 2 sixth grade classes, they should not look completely different, right? You have a 6A, 6B, we need to talk about curriculum. Which books are we gonna read, right? Are they diverse? Do we have female authors? Do we have Asian authors? Do we have black authors, right? Are people, will the kids see themselves in the subject matter that we're offering? Opportunity, recruitment of teachers. Don't quite know how that works, but we have to support young teachers. So if we have young teachers, we can't just say, well, here's your classroom, figure it out. They should have extra support. They should have like a big teacher buddy or whatever the case may be, and they should get evaluated. All teachers should get evaluated. When you recruit teachers, housing, it's a Bay Area. I don't know how that works, but it's hard to live anywhere in the Bay Area on a teacher's salary. Community health, so building the resources to help families, support families. A healthy child will learn better in the classroom, period. So if we can do that, that'll be great. Collaboration between teachers, I already mentioned that. Balancing workload for the teachers. You can't have a teacher that's overtaxed, overstressed, because they will not be a good teacher. So we have to be able to support them, make sure they have a balanced load. That'll also allow them to have better professional development. That'll allow them to collaborate, and that'll allow them to bring their best selves to the classroom daily. Learning specialist support. So you'll have students with learning differences, right? So you have auditory learners, you'll have visual learners, you'll have dyslexia, you'll have all these certain things. So I feel if we can have staff to help those kids out. So if you need a little extra help with reading or you process information differently, there should be staff to help support those learners. That's all we have as right now, but I think it's a good start. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, right on. Appreciate you. Yeah, for sure. And I got some of those ideas. Right on.
So we are the process work group. And as we understand it, our job is to kind of just keep an eye on the process and make recommendations if we think some parts aren't working as well, and it's a little less specific than some of the others. But some of the ideas we talked about were, community outreach and communication, wanting to make sure that people outside of the schools in the communities get informed of this and get drawn into this process or welcome in this process. And asking questions, how do we engage all stakeholders? How do we, looking at the survey you did, there weren't as many families represented here at this school, so how do we specifically engage them? We agreed that having the courageous conversations being an imperative to start this process. We're talking about 500 kids roughly, and 2/3 of these kids are from families of color. We have a very diverse group, and Courageous Conversations is just an excellent, tried and true way of helping us have conversations that sometimes are uncomfortable or difficult in a really skillful way. I think that, anyway, we applaud that and think that's great. And then also came up with the idea of possibly creating a newsletter that goes along with this process to, keep both school communities informed and whatever other groups. So that's what we have so far. We just kind of came up with 3 potential dates for our first meeting, and then we thought we would, and we haven't really decided how frequently we should meet. We're open to suggestions.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share on the microphone?
Hi, I'm representing the transportation work group, and what we did after introducing ourselves was talk about what we knew of today as what we're doing, what our classmates, our students, our fellow families are doing today, such as carpooling, bike walk, public transportation, also some things that have been done in the past, like when there was a school bus that serviced the community. Then we talked about some information gathering. We don't know everything, so we'd like to gather more about what the broader community knows and thinks and needs. So we talked about doing a survey or some other way of doing research with current schools, both communities, to understand transportation needs. Then we talked about some solutions. We can continue to brainstorm solutions in our future meetings. So we talked about some of those things. Action steps that we can take. There's an organization called Safe Routes to School. We can talk to them. We can find out more. We can inform ourselves. What would it take to get a school bus, for example? What would that look like? We can talk to the kids, see what they're interested in, and then we identified some action steps, as well as a need for communication, because whatever we do, we want to consistently be communicating out our findings and where we need more information. And we did set up our next meeting, so we've got several dates and times listed here, and we look forward to seeing what tomorrow's transportation work group will do.
Thank you. I'd love to see a fully electric school bus for our school district. Who's next? Students.
Thank you. So what we did was we were also the group that we created with the students who attend Bayside, Bayside MLK. We created what the dream school would be. And currently there aren't many students present tonight. And I think I see another one walking in. And I think what we're doing right now is we're going to be working to create a bigger committee with more students, both from Willow Creek Academy and from Bayside MLK, both students that are currently attending and who attended in the past. Because it's students, it's going to be a little bit trickier to organize a time because there is a lot with parents driving, students not driving, that needs to be considered. But right now, I think what we want to do is really share the students' voice as much as possible and make it so that they can feel that they can share their experience, because they are the ones that are being the most impacted by what has happened. They are the ones that have to deal with the consequences of others' actions. So it is their voice that we need to hear, and it is their voice that we need to take into consideration while planning this desegregation process, this unification of the schools. Their voices is so key to this, to the success of this. Anything you want to add?
I mean, just to follow that up, like what Ruby said, this whole movement is about the students. You know, like the students in this school, in schools in the district, and schools in the county, they're the ones who are going to be going farther into high school, beyond. They're the next generation, right? They're the change. And so through what we did through all of this was, I think, two of the top points they were talking about were diversity of students and teachers, and what exactly that means going through our school systems. So having a diverse classroom, having a diverse school is incredibly important, right? Having students of color, having students of everywhere, to be honest, and just really collaborating in that classroom environment. But also, we really capped upon the fact that diversity can do very little without the resources. You know, and that's a big thing that we talked about, that we can have a diverse classroom, but without those resources needed to make them successful, those students will have little to go through. They'll have little to work on as they move up through those ranks. So we're talking getting them the tools in middle school here, getting them the supplies, getting them the books, getting them the quality education, getting them the extracurriculars, the nutrition, the classes, the advanced classes, so that when they go into high school, they're not behind. You know, and whether that's through a STAR education, a STEM education, a humanities education, whatever that takes, giving them the opportunity to be the best that they can be, so that if they go to TAM or MC or Redwood, wherever they go, they can succeed to their highest capability. And I think that's the true underlying aspect to all of this, to the student work group. And we're gonna get more of these kids at Willow Creek tomorrow, right? And hopefully in the future, wherever that gets us. But I mean, like, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's about the students, and if we're not doing it for the students, who are we doing it for, right? So.
Thank you. Thank you all. Who's next? We got one or two more? We'll go here. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Obviously, the facilities, we really need to have Willow Creek here. So the first thing is to inventory of the space, and so that we see what the buildings we have between two schools, what needs there are to repair them. But also the program needs to be sorted out. So I was recommending that we do some sort of a charrette with everybody, including the students. A charrette is a design process and a participatory process that happens very quickly. If you've seen the movie The Best of Enemies, it's a true story about how desegregation was handled in Durham, North Carolina in 1971, and Atwater and was it CP, anyway, the head of the KKK and the African American civil rights woman, Ann Atwater, and it's a true story. Were brought together by Bill Riddick, an architect who wrote the book, The Charrette Process. And I did a charrette. Basically what you do, I did a charrette. I designed my first tiny home, was one of the first things I did in design school. You do, in a couple hours you design it. Then you take a weekend and you make the presentation drawings. So it's very quick. So the things that, in terms of facility, you want to think about the physical space, obviously, but it also integrates with curriculum, the programs, who's going to be in the space. Is it K through 5? Is it, 6 through 8? How do we decide that? One school. And then there's a relationship to the land, the conscious garden. So you have the buildings, the relationship to the land, connection to the school, the relationship of public to private spaces, so the protection, the safety for everyone in the community, levels of safety, public space to the classroom, and then appropriate to age. So level of responsibility, you'd want to give the elder students a little more freedom of space and have a little, awareness of how they could be part of first responders should anything happen. So that's really it. Oh, and then fundraising is really important. So prioritizing deferred maintenance and, relationship of community, like the volunteers that can come. So basically, we really need to have more people involved in this facilities, but the thing would be just an inventory of space, which includes the land.
Thank you, Aura.
We are the Culture and Climate Work Group, and we highlighted the top 4 things that we want to talk about. And it's really great that we're finding the same themes in all of these work groups. I think it's fabulous. We think that it's really important that we create a welcoming culture that's open, We think that children need to be part of the process. We value the arts. Arts need to be infused into the culture, arts driven, and the value of diversity reflected in staff and leadership and administration. So I've heard all these things elsewhere. I think it's fabulous. And then we have one last person, Sharika, who wants to talk about the spirituality component of all this.
It's my fervent prayer that we use this as an opportunity to be a prototype of the power inherent in incorporating prayer in the school setting, or mindfulness or truth. So instead of just having a counselor, someone that provides an opportunity for reflection of kids walking in their gifts and purposes that's fused also into restorative justice. So since it's currently not in the school that much, if things manifest seamlessly and the kids really proliferate in this setting, then maybe that whole process will come to be infused in schools all around the world, because good can always come from evil sometimes.
All right, one more thing. We couldn't set up a meeting date because we wanted to wait for the next group. We wanted to maybe have both meet together, but we weren't sure of the process, so we just didn't set a time yet.
Thank you.
We talked about it, but not much. And if any of you have went through this butcher paper bullet point process, we know that it has to generally pass through the filters of decision makers. And then we hopefully in our next meeting will be able to turn what we suggested coming out of these beautiful minds into action plans. And I think that's the bottom line for all activists. We got to have, some action plans that you can implement and that you can measure, and then it becomes reflective of the school environment.
Thank you. Do we have one? We have one more.
Hi, we were the Fiscal Integrity and Transparency Group. Good. Thank you very much. Now, we came up with 3 main points. The first one being, we think it's extremely important to come up with a straightforward, simple, easy to understand way to present financial data to all of us. And we really don't have that yet. So that's number one that needs to happen. Number 2 is to study how does the structure of the school going forward affect finances? How does it affect resources? How does it affect money? For instance, there are examples where a charter school gets more funding than a district school from the state under certain circumstances. If we go all district or all charter, that will change. And then the last thing, it talks about integrity. What we came up with but didn't have a lot of discussion about is that the system has to work. The financial structure has to work. People have to follow the rules. They have to make sure that there's no embezzling or problems in the financial area, but also the student, well, no, we don't need that. Okay, that's it. We didn't come up with any dates yet, but we're not giving up. Oh, one last thing was the work groups, we think, are something that should maybe even continue beyond the unification process, that there are small work groups of people like us who can support the board and do a lot of the homework like we're doing here and free up the board to do more strategic planning.
Thank you. Do we have one left? One left?
Up on the board, but so philanthropy and fundraising, yay! I don't know what happened to Terry Green, but all the other people that were in this group were young mothers with kids and had they shoot out of here. we did agree that we would meet on Saturday mornings, which was good. And we, right off the top, said, well, we need to know what the desired outcomes are. And Richard, your thought about continuing to meet, our committee would be one that definitely would need to continue on, because particularly in the areas of corporate or corporate donations or grants, they're going to want to know what it is that we can accomplish, or they're not really going to be giving us money. So we talked about the different types of fundraising. Events, auctions, fun run, kids talent show. It was really refreshing to see the enthusiasm that the young moms have for getting their kids involved in doing stuff like this, and us grandparents have been hit up by our grandchildren for the fun run, and we know these things can work. And so individual giving is, an area that has many components. We can sign up for the merchandise give back programs like Amazon Smile and things that can continue to process. But probably the most encouraging thing was that we all kind of agreed that even if there are individual things that need to be addressed, like facilities, emergencies, or things like that, that the funds that are raised are really going to ultimately be for the benefit of everyone, because we're committed to the unification. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your hard work tonight. Oshala, I want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to wrap this meeting.
So what I wanted to say is, first, thank you for all the groups that just spoke. What is very present is that we're all standing on land that was inhabited by the first peoples, by the Miwok and the Ohlone in the East Bay. And the earth, those two aspects of our civilization that often get overlooked, the climate, the young people that are out there right now really working hard for climate change, because the land that we're all standing on, all of this that we're doing, it would be for naught if we didn't have the earth. And so really one of the things that was unsaid in our group is that in that curriculum, well, actually we said it, that the indigenous voice, to really amplify that voice, and the indigenous voice is the voice of the planet, and to really get the kids with that. So I just wanted to put those two things out there before we ended our meeting. So thank you very much.
I would love to see a climate justice curriculum as part of what we do in terms of science education, and thank you for grounding us there. So one other thing we would like you to do, not right now, but we think that we need some affinity groups as well. And so we want to invite all of you to be part of a different affinity group, whatever you feel like you have affinity for. We would like to offer an African American affinity group, an English language learner or Latinx affinity group, white affinity group, LGBTQ plus affinity group, Asian Pacific Islander affinity group. If we missed an affinity group that you think that we need, we would like to invite you to be a part of that too. We would not ask you to meet at the same frequency as the work groups, but we want to make sure that everybody's different perspective also is surfaced in all of the work groups, and we think that this is one way that we could do that. So if you are interested in being in any of the affinity groups, we want you to email unification@smcsd.org, or if you have any other questions or comments or concerns, please email unification@smcsd.org. Everybody got that? So we will close the meeting with this. If you still have any questions, I'll give you an opportunity to upload them. Otherwise, give yourselves a big round of applause. Thank you for all your hard work and staying a little bit late. I think it was a great start to our unification work. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, and I will see some of you tomorrow at Willow Creek.
First time. Yeah.
let it continue.
Okay, great, thanks.